I just want people to go, this is who I am. And I have permission to just be myself, and it's not going to be for everybody, and that's okay, because it'll be for the right people.
Yeah.
And that will fill me up and make me feel like I have purpose.
You have the beginning, middle and end of a book. We have no control over the beginning. We have no control over the end. We have that massive chunk in the middle, and that's where the climax happens. That's where all the really exciting stuff happens.
Hey Renee, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm great, thanks. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm enjoying the seasonal change. It's good to be going into spring and summer. I'm really excited to have you on this channel today and just express all the stuff that you do. Tell everyone about your magic and your wisdom and your ideas and your creativity. And yeah, as soon as I met you, just on a whim through the stars aligning, I guess, I really just fell in love with your products and your vision for people and just connecting them with their story. So I'm really excited to have you here. So before I can kind of dive into the questions, it'd be really awesome for you to give us all just a little bit of a background into you and how you came to do what you do and what it is that you do.
Awesome. Okay, so hi everyone, I'm Renee. What do? I sometimes find this really hard to explain. If we go on a tangent straight off the bat, I hope you don't mind. So I just smashed through this book, Sarah Wilson, This One Wild and Precious Life, and I, in under 24 hours, smashed through it. And at the end of it, I thought, oh my God, like, if there was like these trains heading out to do good into the world, like I want to be on her train, like she can be the driver. And I was like, okay, so what would I bring to the train, this train of people who are on her mission? And I thought to myself, what skills can I bring to this? And I thought, I'm really good at organizing information and stuff, but if I was, if we're all sitting on this train and everyone was like, oh my gosh, I want to do what she's doing, I want to help, like take the world to a better place, but I don't know what to do. I was like, I have my human design and my astrology, and maybe that's my gift to bring to people. Like I'm on this train and I'm going, all right, cool, let's look at your details and let's see like what you were designed to bring to like help the world and this mission that we're all on. I hope to inspire people to realize who they are, rediscover who they are, to then go, awesome, I'm going to use that and bring this goodness to the world because that's what I was meant to do. I think I'm kind of, just here to help people to see themselves on a deeper level, to rediscover their like amazingness and go, oh my God, yes, that's who I am. And I need more of this in my life because I've forgotten it, or I don't make time for it because life's responsibilities, duties, expectations, all that kind of stuff. I'm just forgotten all of that. But actually I need more of me because that's actually what brings me joy. And I think that's what a lot of people need a lot more in their lives, is a lot more joy.
I 100 million% agree with that. That's so cool. And you said about astrology and human design. Could you give us a little bit of an insight into what that is? Because I remember when I first heard about what you did, it was kind of, I've heard of astrology, but not so much human design.
Yes.
So if you want to give a little bit more of a broad spectrum on what that is and how they've come together for what you do. Sure.
Okay, so astrology, I think most people have probably heard of like zodiac signs or horoscopes, so like that's pretty much just your sun sign in astrology. So I'm an Aries, so if I was going into the paper looking at the zodiac, I would go to Aries. But what I've discovered is there's so much more, and I think back in the day, probably in the 80s and 90s, it was kind of this people look to it for like love matching and relationships and stuff, but I think we're coming around now where a lot of people are seeing it as a real, I guess, just like methodology that can give you some answers to what your life path is or what your life theme is. And so I would say I'm still very much a basic and learner of astrology, but I just love it because I feel like it can just tell us so much about ourselves. And I guess I probably came into astrology recently through human design, and human design, I guess, is very much a new methodology. Not a lot of people have heard of it. If it's not in your realm of who you follow on Instagram or Facebook, but it basically includes elements of astrology as well as quantum physics and Kabbalah, the I Ching. So it's like a combination of about 6 things kind of brings it all together. You know, astrology, you know, we kind of can discover about ourselves things like what we're here to learn and like what our life path is and how we possibly process, deal and feel emotions and what have you. And human design just brings in a whole other element. It's all more about, I guess, energies, like we're all energy, what energy you kind of bring to the world. It also includes like the chakra system. So for all of us in human design, we have these like chakra type centers or energy centers that could be like either our own source of energy or we take on the other energy of others. For me, when I came across human design and started looking into it and doing the courses and reading up on it, I felt like I finally had permission to be me. And so for me, I was just like, this makes so much sense. Here's me spending my whole life trying to fit in, but actually I'm not meant to fit in. I'm like this social chameleon, which kind of made sense to me because like I can go to networking events and like meet people, no problem. You know, I can go to we were at a hotel once and I went up to the bar to order a drink and I finally get back and feels like they told you their life story, didn't they? It kind of just made sense to me, gave me a bit more permission to be myself, to understand, I guess, just some of my fears even, why I do things the way that I do. It felt like a little bit of a guide book or just gave me clues, right? So there's different energy types. My energy type is literally, I'm here to bring joy to the world. First to myself and then to the world. Like if that's all I just focused on every day, imagine I went, oh my gosh, I don't have that much joy in my life because I've been so conditioned, you know, through, you know, how I was raised, just social expectations and stuff that, you know, I'm now a mum, my life is about my children, or, you know, I'm responsible for all these other things. I'm at the bottom of the list, but actually, if I want to have an impact on the world, even if it's only on a small scale, I need to move myself to the top of the list and really focus on my joy, because that's actually what's going to light up, spark, and just like have its impact on everybody else.
I was just, there were so many things in there that you said that I was just like, oh, the like little light bulbs went off for me, because I think the word permission sometimes, and I was thinking this before, because for people that have never believed in any sort of astrology or anything spiritual or anything deeper than, oh, we're just here to do our thing, and even for people that don't necessarily like believe in it, it's still one of those things that's so gorgeous to look at and to feel like, to resonate with, and just, even if you don't believe in it, it just gives you that feeling of like a little bit of magic and a little bit of there's more for me, you know. And I think that's the really special part, is that it's not specific to anyone. It's just, it's like you are unique, but it's having that, like you said, on paper, just a little reminder of things that you, like you said, might have been pushing down or not paying attention to, and it could just even inspire you to try something completely different or look at your life differently, even just one little thing in there, you know.
Yes.
And I think that was one thing that really stood out for me then when you were speaking about when you started it for yourself as well.
And it's so interesting because it is very woo-woo, right? Like when I do these things and start looking at people's the signs and how it all fits together, I just go, oh my goodness. You know, like some people will give me just like one clue. So for example, I did a poster for a young girl the other day, and the mum said, I don't have the birth time because she's adopted from China. And when I started doing her chart, there's so many things that point to her early life, and that I was just like the stars couldn't know that she started her life being adopted out and moved to another country. But how incredible is it that there's so many signs, signals, clues in her astrology and in the human design that kind of pinpoint this. And what I love about it, especially like as a parent, you know, I went back to the mum and just said, okay, this is pretty crazy, but the stars, or whatever you want to call it, have picked up on the possible trauma that your daughter is obviously going to experience from her early years, and now you can be aware of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I find it so incredible, especially, and I've done a lot of readings and stuff for parents who just want to know a little bit more about their kids. And now they can just, even with small bits of information, just knowing what energy type their children is and what their lifestyle is going to be, they're like, okay, cool. Now I know how to kind of navigate things, the waters for my children without putting pressure expectations, but just having this awareness going, okay, cool. I've got a little bit more clarity on what I need to do to raise this amazing person without putting my own stuff into that.
And would you say that, because I mean, it just off for someone that's, again, never heard of this before, it kind of sounds like it's almost like destiny, like it's solid, but is it
Yeah.
Would you say it's a fluid thing? Like, just because it's there doesn't mean we are like confined to it?
Totally. And because it's whatever you choose to do with it, right? And it's quite interesting because, you know, a few people have said, oh, what about for twins? They've obviously got pretty much the same birth details. Their time could possibly be minutes apart. How much will that affect? And generally their charts are exactly the same, but they're not the same people. So their experience of their chart or of the stars will be totally different. So the elements that kind of come together from their chart, while it kind of has a basis, it's got their individual flavor added to it.
The reason I ask is just because I think, you know, that whole realm of like possibility and stuff, it can be quite scary for someone to look at and think, all right, well, that's me then, you know, but to know that it's not that way, just to kind of clarify that for anyone that's like thinking, okay, does that mean that whatever I get is, you know, gospel? But it's not. So there's that fluidity around it. I think that's awesome.
Totally. Yeah. And I think for me, with the work that I do, I just really want it to be inspiring, you know, because there's so much out there that, you know, people telling us what we should do. My God, that's such a big thing. I'm a big one for like, fuck the shoulds. Like, who said this? Who decided for us? But yeah, I just want it to be inspirational. And that's like with the posters, I've tried to make it so it's something that people can look at and just go, yeah, you know, like you're one. I
was going to show everyone in a minute as well. Yeah, my one.
Naturally talented in a way that I can't explain. Okay, so I can start trying to figure it out because it's actually just natural. And the fact that you're obviously such a people person, like it says in your chart and everything, that it's the people you surround yourself with that will pull your gifts and your natural talents out. So I love that because it's kind of like, okay, stop trying to figure it out. Just keep connecting with the right people because they're going to pull it out of me. And so I think that's gorgeous. Or even just the fact that it also says in your chart that like the relationships you have, the quality of your relationships are the quality of your life. So we don't know each other too well, but I kind of have seen that you have lots of connections with people. So I think for you it could just be like yeah, that's so me, and now I know that it's something I can maybe put some more time and effort into, is really nurturing those connections, because now I know it's those people and those connections that will help me to figure out if there's something that I want to figure out when it comes to what I'm here to do or what my natural gifts are.
I love that so much, and it's so true. Like this year especially, I know it's hard to kind of stand up and say I've actually loved 2020, because I know a lot of people haven't. I have. I'm one of those horrible people that has. It's been transformational in so many ways for me. And I think reading that quote about, like you just said, about connections, it makes so much sense, because like the whole first half of the year, I was very much not stuck in, but kind of glued to what I was creating by myself and just thinking, all right, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this, in the doing mode. And then as the year started to go on, I was actually finding my networks were expanding in ways that I was not foreseeing at all. And since that's happened, I've done things that I didn't plan to do that have opened up doorways to more development and stuff that I wasn't even on my radar, and it should have been, you know, just in terms of the journey I'm on. But it fits really well. And I think if I didn't connect, if I didn't network, if I was stuck in my bubble of I'm going to do it my way all the time, I wouldn't be there. And sometimes, like you said, it's hard because you get stuck in your head like, okay, well, I'm right, I'm doing it right. But actually having it there to say, actually, no, it's not right for you. Like, just breathe and let it be. Like, keep expanding, keep moving outwards. Yeah. Definitely resonated with me a lot. So thank you for that. I'm going to share it at the end as well of the conversation, and I'll put like an image up of it for everyone to see as well. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing some more detail on that. And I'm not sure if you touched on this before with how you got to doing this, like what you were doing before and like what made you shift into it, or...
I think for me, having depression a few years ago, which would have been probably undiagnosed postnatal depression, was like a big, I guess, like, what do you call it, stake in the sand of like, okay, things really started to change and move for me in a way that I probably didn't expect, to be honest. So when that happened, I was a graphic designer. I had my graphic design business for 12, 13 years, I think. And I was a graphic designer because my mum told me I should be when I was 13, you know, because I was good at art, and that's what people were making money at that time. So I just followed that path, and I'm sure I was meant to follow that path because I did, but what if I had been left to make that decision for myself? Anyway, but when I was depressed, I really struggled with my business, and I got to the point where I couldn't get up, and like I had to get up to look after my children. But when I was getting texts and phone calls from clients asking me, you know, when is this logo going to be done? When can you do this? And I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I just can't be on for someone else, because actually I just need to be on for myself. And I remember one day I actually filmed myself sobbing and crying when I was in this, you know, big bout of depression. Medication wasn't working for me, and I just remember sitting on my bed crying, just going, this is not me, and this is not who I want to be. And so I just feel like that was like this point where I was like, right, I need to and I want to get myself out of this, because I don't want to be this person for my boys, and actually I don't want to be this person because this is just not, this is not me. I'm the fun Renee. I'm, you know, like I'm Aries, I'm fiery, you know, I'm the one who's kind of like, you know, meeting people and stuff. But in this depressed state, I literally was just like, how can I get out of going to this party? And so that was a huge thing for me. I was like, okay, I don't want to be a graphic designer anymore, because actually I'm just tired of doing it because I should, and this is what I was told would make me money. And so I just gave myself permission to take a break. And I just got into this whole conscious parenting thing, you know, because at that point I was like, I feel really bad because I was this sad, angry mum for my kids when they were young. And okay, I need to do good by them now. And so I started doing all this research into conscious parenting. And that's when like Human Design kind of popped its head in. And I remember following someone, I think she was called the Conscious Parenting Guide at the time. And she was talking about these things like your generated child, your projected child. And I was like, what is this? Okay, this is a bit, I don't understand it. Okay, that's not for me. But then it obviously worked its way back into my, you know, universe, hemisphere, or whatever it was. And it just started clicking for me. And I think it was because I was looking at it for myself, like not doing it for anyone else at the time, because I was like, what am I meant to be doing? Like, oh, you know, I feel like I want to be doing something, but I'm not sure what it is. And so got into it and was really passionate about it. I just kind of felt like I just started seeing myself, my children, and friends in different ways. And it just got me really fired up. And so at the end of last year, I did a chart reading course. And that's when astrology started kind of coming in as well. I was just like, okay, I just want to know a little bit more about this. And then I turned 40 during lockdown, and leading up to my birthday, I was like, I want a book about me. You know, I was like, I want to combine all this human design stuff that I'm learning and all this astrology, because I want a book about me. So when I'm, you know, on these days, like I still have, you know, moods, obviously, that can be really low and dark. But I was like, if I had this book, you know, that was just like, Renee, this is who you are. You're amazing. Don't forget it, because all in here, this is the book of you. And so I tried to bust it out before my 40th birthday and didn't quite get there. but I was just loving it. And then I was like, okay, well, how can I use my graphic design and this, and because I want to make it into something for people to have. I don't know where the posters came from. It all kind of came together, which I just think is amazing. I was following my joy, which I'm supposed to do, and I pulled it all together into these beautiful posters. And I knew there was something in it when I had a friend who basically just kept apologizing for being who she was. And I was like, oh my God, okay, can you send me your birth details? And so I created a poster and I sent it to her, and she came saying, oh my God, this is amazing, I'm crying. And I'm like, I needed you to see that you're amazing, and that all the struggles you are having is because you're not being yourself, and that the bits that you are being yourself are you're not actually doing it right. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's a nurturer and a carer, but she was doing it for the wrong people. Yeah. And so I was like, man, I just want everyone to have this. I just want people to see that things they might be struggling with could actually be a gift. I just want people to go, this is who I am. And I have permission to just be myself, and it's not going to be for everybody, and that's okay, because it'll be for the right people. And that will fill me up and make me feel like I have purpose.
I love that so much. I love how you said you literally just followed your joy, because you didn't, and you said you don't know how it came together, but it did. And you had, like, you know, none of us know when we're growing up and being told, like, try this, do that, blah, blah, blah. But actually, eventually that's going to be the thing that makes the main thing work, you know, without doing that other thing. Like, if you didn't go through that graphic design experience, you might not have had the knowledge and the wherewithal and the strength and the tenacity to actually stick with it and create something new. You know, you would have been like, okay, well, now I need to learn how to design, I can't do it, and then you talk yourself into not doing it. So I think, it's so true. And I think for young people as well, at the moment, like leaving school and leaving uni and trying to figure out what to do with themselves, there's so much like, okay, well, if people are trained to think about what job do you want to make because of how much money do you want to make and how much status do you want and how much, you know, it's very much like, where can you go rather than who can you be and what can you bring, you know? And I think that the story really needs to shift, and like the work you do is so cool in a way that it's so just takes the stress and the angst and the overthinking out of it and just puts it there nice and beautifully, simply. Take what you want, work with what you want, ignore what you don't want, and then see it come back into your life in another way, and it might wake you up somewhere else, you know? So I think it's so cool.
It's kind of interesting, especially in my time, now that I'm 40. But, you know, it was very much like, you know, you go to school, then you go to university, and then you get a job, and then you get married and have kids. Do you know what I mean? And so there's never really been this room to think outside of that. And what I find amazing is, like, you know, a lot of people don't know how to dream big because we've been like pigeonholed into thinking that this is all we can have. And, you know, like, you know, don't get ahead of yourself, you know, like, is that actually possible or doable? Or I don't know, I just get this feeling that, you know, the lid gets put on top of dreams. Oh, we need dreamers because we need to be inspired and to like lead the way. And and so I'm just so conscious of that, especially for my boys. You know, like, they get to decide. Like, sure, I have ideas for what I would love for them to do, but actually my job is just to kind of just sit back here and just be there for them to figure it out for themselves and give them the freedom to make their own choices and learn. And that's another thing I love about human design, especially a particular part of it where we kind of can learn about our lifestyle. There are so many people who are meant to live their life by like trial and error, you know. So I had a friend who was like, oh, you know, my boy was cheeky and was like pushing the boundaries and shoplifted something. And, you know, as a parent, you're like, oh my God, my boy is, you know, naughty, bad, you know, I need to fix this. From my perspective, I was like, oh my gosh, here he is. Here's him, boundaries and learning what's actually good and bad for him, what he can get away with, maybe what's, you know, appropriate or not. So my friend didn't like that too much. Like, oh, he's pushing the boundaries. He should have been shoplifting. I was like, okay, but, you know, how are you going to use this as a situation to teach him, rather than just like, this is bad, you shouldn't do it, you are naughty. I hate that word, naughty. You know, like, maneuver the language around it.
You said this, you know, you hate that word naughty. I do as well. Like, anything that's trying to suppress a natural part of our personality or our way of being. And we're all here to teach each other different lessons and learn different lessons. And I think, you know, once, like you said, for parents as well, but even for friendship circles or business people or anyone, like once you have like again, even if you don't believe in it, but if it will just give you a bit of a broader scope of, okay, well, maybe this person is in the team or this person's in the family to teach me this, or how is that thing making me uncomfortable, and what is that in me that might need to shift my perspective or, you know, redirect my thought processes. So it's all about, like, even if the person that has it doesn't necessarily see it themselves, someone else might actually learn a lot from it, like a parent, for example. What advice would you give to your younger self, or the self that of you, like the teenage, early 20s, figuring out your niche world, now that you've done the work you've done, without it coming from okay, this is what your life looks like, but just in terms of life lessons, what would you say to yourself?
Oh, I think a big question that kind of came when you said that was like, is this actually what you want for yourself?
Love it. Yeah.
Like, is this actually for you, or is this to keep someone else happy, or to fill that need that you need to be responsible or to be making the right decision for other people? Like trust, I would say trust and love yourself, and just have confidence that you can make the right decisions for yourself. Because as much as you believe that other people know you better than you know yourself, actually they don't.
Would you have any advice for your younger self about, if you came to the realization that you were doing something for someone else, to then like go about changing the direction, like without feeling that fear or letting the fear overwhelm you and stop you from making changes?
What I know about myself through Human Design is that I actually make decisions through emotional waves. So I guess for now I'd say, and even I'd just say for anyone these days, right? Like there's so much going on, just sleep on it. And how do you see how you feel about it tomorrow? So like if I was to today go, okay, is this for me? No, someone else decided this for me. Okay, how does that make me feel right now? Okay, I'm gonna sleep on it and wait till I'm in this cool, calm and collected mood, wait till I've felt the highs and the lows of it, and then see if I still feel that this decision was, you know, I didn't decide this for myself. And then if that was the case, that I still believe that it wasn't for me, let's say, for example, because of my situation, you know, like I had to do something because it didn't work in with my partner's timetable or something, which is kind of what I'm going through right now. So it's been decided for me that this is my life right now. And I keep telling myself, I always get to choose. I always get to decide. So while it feels out of my control and that I feel like my life's being dictated by someone else's schedule, I ultimately always get to choose and I get to decide. I would think about what I actually do want. Mm-hmm. And then I would have a conversation, even though it'd be really hard because I hate and avoid conflict at all costs.
Yeah.
But and I would get to the point where I'd just be like, okay, this is actually what I want for myself. He doesn't actually know. He's just doing this thing because I keep coping and, you know, and doing the things and not actually saying how I feel because I'm avoiding the conflict. But it would be like, okay, this is actually how I feel and this is what I want, and now I need your help. People don't know what you're thinking and feeling, so you have to communicate that. And they might not like it. If you come from this place of, this is how I feel and this is my stuff, then it just makes it so, it does make it easier. It's hard, but it makes it easier. And every conversation you have like that, you so grow.
Yeah, and I think it's so important as well, because especially with social media and just the way people socialize these days, and have been forced to this year as well just because of COVID, but I think overall we're just encouraged to kind of just put up the highlight reel all the time and just deal with it. And I think even if it's not on a conscious level of I'm deliberately putting out all the good stuff, I think that has infiltrated everything we do. Like every single part of life has to be the highlight reel all the time, or see it as, you know, and if you're not feeling it, if you're not feeling the goodness of it, that starts to weigh you down, because actually you realize then slowly that you're kind of just tricking yourself and just trying to train your brain into a way that you've kind of been forced to, instead of actually thinking, okay, I deeply don't agree with this, or I don't want to do this, so I'm going to do something about it. We just tend to put up the highlight reel all the time. And I think Yeah, no, a lot of what you just said makes so much sense in just life as well.
I think it's sometimes we just got to be kind to ourselves and give us time, but acknowledging like the feelings and how we react to things is such a huge signal. It's like this mirror, right? You know, like, why am I feeling so about this? Okay, if I flip this back around back of myself, what is it actually about? I think there's just huge stuff in there, and no one, and like I said before, no one knows the stuff that's going on. It's so interesting too, right? Like this, a lot of us feel this need to apologize all the time, like if we don't respond to a message straight away or to a post straight away. You know, there was one person, you know, having a conversation with because she wanted something from me that I hadn't given her yet, you know what I mean? Like it hadn't kind of happened, and I just went back going, I could apologize, you know, but anyway, I just said, you know, I could give you so many excuses or reasons why I haven't done it for you, but it's not actually about me. This is about how you feel. And she kind of came back just going, oh my gosh, like, how did you do that? Do you know what I mean? Like, how did you communicate? Like, how did you find the words to say that? And I was just kind of, because I flipped it around, like, yes, sure, I'm just like, oh, you want this now. But when I look at it from your perspective, my excuses mean nothing, or reasons mean nothing to you, because this is how you're feeling. And so I just acknowledge how you're feeling. And then, you know, and it just like lightened the whole load of everything. So, I'm not sure where I was going with that, but I just think we do get stuck, you know, behind this and how we feel and stuff, but actually, especially in relationships and communication, like they don't always know what's going on with you. You don't know what's going on with them, but sometimes if we flip it and just acknowledge how someone else could be feeling, like I think that's what a lot of people are. They just want to be seen as me. Do you know what I mean? To just be like, you know, my feelings actually matter and they mean something, even if you don't understand them.
It's funny you say that as well. There's you just made me think of something. When I went to the Speakers Institute boot camp just for some training on speaking, one of the things they said was when you tell the audience what they might be thinking about your topic that might make you feel worse about what you're saying, if you acknowledge their insecurities before you dive into your topic, then they've got no ground to stand on with anything against you. What you maybe think about, like it with conflict and stuff, if you precursor the conversation with, or preface the conversation with, I know you'll probably feel, not definitely, but I can imagine you're probably feeling XYZ because of my da 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 da, and I acknowledge that first, and you know the whole thing is like, okay, well they have seen me, they have seen the reason why I might not give a damn about what they're saying or think they're lying or whatever. And that opens them up so much more to actually receiving what you do really want to give. I'm going to say, since I was a kid, since I was like, probably since I can remember actually, my parents have always told me that I wear my heart on my sleeve. And I've always been like the too much person, not for them. They've never said that, but I've always had that vibe of like, I've never been the one that puts on crocodile tears if everyone else is like crying at primary school. I'd never just cry just to get attention or make people believe, you know, anything like that. And if I meet new people like yourself as well, I don't really fluff around on the surface. Like, what's your favorite color? And where have you been on holiday? It's like, I like to ask real stuff. And I think just seeing, this is my one here, just, there's lots of reflections in it, but just the things I really liked on here, the whole thing about, like you said, about the connection to partnerships and being bold and adventurous. Like I think that kind of isn't just necessarily restricted to going out and doing things. It's just being bold and adventurous in my language and the way I express myself and the way I build my relationships. You know, some people might be cautious and take a little bit longer to create connections with people and do the whole 7 dates before you make it official, and others are like, I know straight away that I want to be with you type of person. I don't know where I was going with that either. I think it was just the whole depth and understanding, like some people, because one topic that I'm going to dive into more slowly is envy, because I've been on the receiving end of that a few times, and I think everyone's guilty. I mean, even me, you know, of feeling envious towards someone else, but it can be a very destructive thing, and it's definitely played a role in some of my relationships with people I've ended up just pulling back from. And I think things like this could actually be a really good way for young people, especially going through times of, okay, well, she's got everything, or she's got a nice car, or, you know, her family's so great, like she's got everything she wants, or whatever. I think things like this could really help young people in their own relationships with each other, and actually break down that wall of envy and jealousy, because it's such, I mean, it will never go away, but I think just coming to terms with your uniqueness, when you really do believe that, it really does stop you from going down that destructive rabbit hole of I need to be more like them, or I need to have what they have.
And the other things that I loved about your chart too was the emotions through your physical body. And so while we're new friends, like your dance classes and stuff that you go to, which is so great. Yeah, and the other part of it too, which is your North Node, right? So it's kind of like, I kind of would say like this would be like this, all this work could possibly be like the north of your compass. Do you know what I mean? Like if you just tuned in, tapped in, like this is, focus on these things to kind of get you moving forward. And so your North Node is seeing what can't be seen. And actually in part of your Human Design chart too, it also says you have this streak of like a genius streak, sorry, which is all about asking yourself the question, what's so obvious to me about this world that no one else sees? So I just thought that was really interesting, you know, that you've got this part of you that, you know, you've got quite a bit of Scorpio, which is this transformative type energy.
It is cool. And I think, you know, I went to I mean, this video is going to be up for ages, and when people see it, it might not be relevant, but the weekend just gone, end of October, I went to a retreat, and it was my first ever retreat, and it was with people that I wasn't supposed to meet, but I did just through the laws of COVID making me available. And that whole weekend was just dedicated to exploration of yourself and connecting to your values and your personal strengths and your just divine guidance, all that sort of stuff. And it was so different for me to actually be surrounded by those people, because I suddenly found myself having conversations that I can't have with other people in my life at the moment. And I found myself just going down all these different roads of, and they believed in everything I said, and they were like, wow, keep going, you know, and they wanted more. And there was a space for more. And I think not everyone's going to be that way inclined, of course, but I think just the point I was going to make was, once you find that tribe, once you find like just one person that you're like, oh, she gets me, she wants more, or he or whoever, you know, I think it's so refreshing. And suddenly everyone else that's ever pulled you down or ever tried to tell you that what you're trying to say is too much or not enough or blah blah blah, they don't matter anymore. Like, it literally just takes that whole thing away, and just, you know, it's irrelevant. It just becomes irrelevant, because you know that the people that really want to see you shine are actually out there. You just need to find them.
Another big learning I've had, especially with the human design thing, is finding and discovering the things and the people and the environments that feel good, and then holding on to those, like keeping them close, and just trusting in my body that what is right and what's correct for me or not, you know what I mean? Like, not forcing things. And you know, it can start off by just, you know, I don't know, we're walking into a restaurant and you're like, oh, I don't know, I don't, you know, like, this doesn't feel right. Okay, cool, give yourself permission to go and try, you know, the one next door. And I just that's another thing I quite like about the human design element, is there's a lot of it of where it's, you know, trusting your body, which I don't think we're taught to. We're taught to figure things out and listen to this. But actually, what about the heart and, you know, the gut instinct that a lot of us are supposed to actually be listening to, not having our lists of pros and cons and figuring things out that way, you know, like, this is quite a big disconnect from our bodies, which I think there needs to be a lot more of, so that we can trust ourselves, trust and create the better environments for ourselves and stuff, rather than what, you know, the shoulds and the In 2019, it was my first year of having my book published, and I
spent the whole year going to free events to try and like network and learn how to speak and blah, 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 blah. And most of it was just to get my book out there and just get my face out there. But part of me was searching for someone that I resonated with to take me to the next level of where I wanted to go. And all year, like obviously I met loads of people, but of course at free events, they often sell you like a program or whatever. And all of them, there was some that they ranged between like $150 to $1,000. And I kept telling myself each time, no, it's too expensive, blah, blah, blah. And the whole year went by and I kept saying no to all these programs. And then I went to the Speakers Institute one, and I literally, it was like $3,500. And I was like, yeah, I'm going. You know, I didn't even have $3,500 like sitting, like I just about had what I needed for it, but it wasn't easy money to just suddenly give away, but I knew I needed to go. So I was like, I'm going to have to make this work. And I thought to myself, wow, I've been telling myself it's expensive for all these other things all year, but they weren't. They just didn't resonate with me. And I was putting my own excuses on top to justify not doing it. And I think we do that so many times in our lives where we're like, oh no, I can't because of this. And actually, no, it's just you saying it's your instinct and you're covering it up with something else to make it acceptable to everyone else.
Yeah.
You know, instead of just outright saying, no, this doesn't resonate with me, we're just trained to be like, okay, what excuse can I like brush it over with? I know people that are very good at saying no straight away without explaining anything. And I love them to bits, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm always fighting myself like, yeah, go you. But then I'm like, tell me why, like, you know? So it's just this fine line of like, okay, they've said no, there's a reason, just chill. But then part of us is always like, I need to know.
And your Jupiter sign is about trusting your gut. And I think you have that story about when you just trusted that you needed to go to this event and then things started happening. Or that day where you trusted your gut to just do nothing. You're like, right, I just need to, go to the beach or go for a walk?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll figure this out. I'm just going to trust my gut and go and do something else. And then by the end of the day, it kind of all aligned the way that it should. And I just think it's great that you're kind of on this path already of trusting your body, trusting your gut, trusting your instinct. And you had a couple of examples of how that worked out the way it was meant to.
For sure. And I keep reminding myself of it. Every time I go back into my head, I'm like, stop. You know, this is not the way to do it. Like, I have to literally write down the examples of when it's worked out before, when I haven't done it the usual way, just to keep, because overthink a brain. But
I think if I was to give some advice to, I'm guessing, I'm actually a big sister. So like, if I was to give advice to your little sisters and stuff, would be to just spend time learning to love and trust yourself, and that you can spend all your time looking for things to, external things to give you the answers or to fill you up or to make you feel good, but actually everything you need is inside you. You were born complete. You are amazing and unique just as you are. Take the time to discover that. Don't worry about what anyone else is doing, because I know it's hard right now when you're young and trying to figure it all out, but I think the gift is seeing yourself for who you are and what your innate qualities are, and trusting that you know what's best and what's right for you.
Renee, it's been so awesome to interview you or just chat with you. I feel like we've had just more of a conversation, really. If people wanted to find you on social media or your website or online, how can they find you? You want to just give us a little plug?
Cool. So www.seenasme.com, and my social handles are @seenasme. So I'm on Facebook and Instagram. And if any of this intrigues you, this whole human design astrology thing, I do have a free workbook that it takes you through the steps to just quickly do a free natal birth chart and a free human design chart, and just give you a few little tips to kind of get you going. It's free. You can find that on my website under free stuff. Yeah, it's really cool. I've had people who are just like, oh my God, it just put into words what I kind of knew but didn't know how to express. Or, someone's like, I realized what I love to do. And the day she filled that out, she started doing things differently with her family the next day. So it's super cool if you just want to be inspired to, I guess, just discover something about yourself.
And for me, everyone in my tribes and stuff knows where I am, but my website is www.the-bigsisterproject, because there was no thebigsisterproject.com. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook as well, the Big Sister Project _ because again, it's taken, so I had to put in random little symbols and stuff. And yeah, I've got a retreat coming up in February 2021. If you're watching this after that, then ignore this comment. But yeah, so that's happening in Feb 2021, and there are some other little workshopy things coming up before the end of this year, which is a bit nuts, I know, but they are happening as well. One on the 18th of November for parents. It's all about just helping your teens and stuff navigate their leaving school, leaving uni, getting into work.
So I live in Coromandel, in New Zealand. Yeah.
Very cool. Coromandel. I love the Coromandel.
I know, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's so interesting. So you're probably going to end soon. But this book, seriously, oh my gosh.
I've seen that in workbooks. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just reading it, and I've got a new friend. So one of those new connections, right? We can talk about the deep stuff, and it's just totally normal. So I sent her a picture of this, and I was like, "Oh my God, Abby! Like, she just says like the answers are in nature. Like, isn't this why we moved out of Auckland? And have we been like connecting with nature? No. So yeah. So there's definitely.
Could you show us the inside of that? Like, what it's like? Is it kind of little poems?
Oh, it's okay. Full. It's full.
Oh, wow.
But, oh my gosh, so much juicy stuff. Like even just the other day, getting my boys ready for school was really, really hard. My little one is just feeling all the feels, so big right now. And I had to take myself off to my room, and I closed the door. And I like opened up a page to this, and there's a question. She, like in the beginning, it talks about asking the bigger, deeper questions. And it just made me go, okay, I'm feeling really frustrated and angry, like I just want them to go to school. But the question in here, I have to find it, was just like, but how can I connect with them? Like, what is it actually for them? How can I connect to them and what they're feeling right now? And it was so good, because I was like, okay, cool, right? Feel the frustration and the anger, but actually what do you need to do to connect with them, to turn this around? So there's so much gold in here, and she quotes so many amazing people who I want to like read their books.
So that's awesome. Thank you so much again for popping on here today, and I'm really excited to see where things go. I will catch up with you again soon, and thank you everybody for watching, and make sure you follow Renee on social media and find all her stuff. See you later, Renee.
Bye. Thanks for having me. It was great.